Out of there, we are continuing to keep an eye on the situation on the line of actual control with China, and we're going to talk about that in just a couple of minutes. But we're going to start off by talking about the problem of the migrants. And today, the Supreme Court finally stepped in and issued a series of interim directions. And many will say that's not a moment too soon, because let's face it, India has done a lot right when it comes to tackling the coronavirus. Early lockdown, way before many other countries were locking down with that much stringencies, enhanced testing now, we've built out PPEs. A lot has been done right, but if there's one area which we really could have and perhaps should have done a lot more on, it is the problem of the migrants. We've seen these really disturbing pictures now for 70 days, migrants walking, somehow trying to get home, suffering extraordinary hardships in virtually every corner of the country. And that the problem with the migrants also has contributed to whatever's happening with the coronavirus. Because remember, if we had found a way to solve the migrant issue really early, if we had found a way to transport migrants, for example, back home in mid-March or just about the time when the lockdown was actually announced, A lot of hardship would have been reduced, and B, at that time, there wasn't that much spread of coronavirus. If we had done it with some testing, with contact tracing, perhaps with quarantines in certain areas, it is possible that the migrants could have all got home and not contributed to the spread of coronavirus. Now, today, we are where we are. There's been a lot of hardship. There's still the problem of having to shift a large number of migrants back, although according to what the government has been telling the Supreme Court and others, something like 10 million may have already moved home, but there still could be others wanting to go. And now when people are moving, there is the very real risk of massive spread of the coronavirus. So now finally, the Supreme Court stepped in, issued a series of interim directions, including making sure that migrants aren't charged for the train journey, to be given food, that the states which they're residing in should be looking after them. A number of measures directions were given by the Supreme Court. We'll have to see how many of those can be implemented and how soon, because we really do need to find an answer to this, to reduce hardship and also to make sure that the migrants can get home if that's where they want to go in safety without spreading the virus. And if they can be persuaded to stay back in their places of work, then that, of course, would be ideal. So let's just quickly bring you up to speed with everything that the Supreme Court said and the rest of the day's stories.
The Supreme Court has sought clarity from the centre on the policy that a state cannot reject migrants from entering, who pays the fare, and the knowledge to a migrant that he or she does not have to, along with the mechanism to let a migrant know when he or she will get transport instead of waiting indefinitely without any information, and the arrangement of food and shelter till they go back to their home states. The centre on Thursday told the Supreme Court that it has moved 97 lakh migrant workers till date, further underlining that it has undertaken an unprecedented exercise to send them home. Taking cognizance of the plight of migrant workers, the Supreme Court issued interim directions to the centre, states and union territories that need to be implemented immediately. The court said no fare either by train or bus will be charged from migrant workers. Railways will share the fare, but no fare will be taken from migrants. All migrants who are stranded shall be provided food by the concerned state at places publicized and notified to them so that they can meet both ends. The originating state should provide food and water, and thereafter food should be given by railways. Post reaching, the state shall give transport, food and meals from stations to their villages. This is applicable to both camps on the way or buses. States shall speed up registration of migrant workers and build help desks near places where they are stranded, where they can be asked to board trains or buses at an earlier date. Complete information needs to be publicized so that migrants are aware of arrangements made for them. The court added that whenever a migrant is found walking on the road, they will be taken to the camps at the earliest and help them with facilities. The Apex Court will take up the matter next on the 5th of June. In what could blow up in the government's face, the centre seems to be admitting that it is not paying the 85% rail travel fare of migrant workers, something that union ministers have repeatedly told the public. After the Supreme Court pulled up the centre asking who is paying for the transportation of migrant workers, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta told the court on Thursday that either the originating state pays their fare or the receiving state. Mehta said originating state picks up migrant workers and gets them to railway stations where they are screened. Meals during their travel are provided by the railways free of cost. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in a press conference had said the union government is bearing 85% of the train fare for migrant workers, while states were bearing the remaining 15%.
Around 97 lakh migrants have been transported to their states since the special train service was started on May 1st, the centre told the Supreme Court on Thursday. The top court had on Tuesday taken suo motu cognizance of the plight of the migrants and had said that there have been inadequacies and lapses on part of both central and the state governments. The central government said it would not stop its efforts or the train service till even a single migrant remains. Congress President Sonia on Thursday lashed out at the central government on the issue of migrants. In a video message, Gandhi said that the entire country has heard the pain of the migrants, but the government is deaf to it. The video is part of the party's SpeakUp campaign to help raise the voice of the poor, migrants, small businesses, and the middle-class people before the central government.
उनका दर्द, उनकी पीड़ा, उनकी सिसकी देश में हर दिल ने सुनी, पर शायद सरकार ने नहीं.
Briefing the media, Principal Scientific Advisor to the government, Professor K. Vijay Raghavan said 30 groups in the Indian industry and academia are working on developing the COVID-19 vaccine. He said vaccines take 10 to 15 years to develop, but India is trying to develop it in a year, but for that we need to have a parallel process. He added that when a vaccine is made, it will not be a switch. Everybody from the youngest to the oldest will need a vaccine. In a unique initiative, he also said the AICTE and the CSIR have embarked on a drug discovery hackathon. This is a high-end hackathon where students will be trained with information on how to do computational drug discovery, and those promising will be selected.
A Delhi-based mushroom farmer turned messiah for 10 migrant labourers as he gave wings to their dream of going back home amid the COVID-19 lockdown. The desperate group of migrant labourers tried to get a seat on a special train to Samastipur in Bihar, but to no avail. Their employer, Papan Singh Gehlot, a mushroom farmer in capital's Narela, then stepped in and bought flight tickets for the group of 10 to fly back home.
The United States on Wednesday surpassed the grim milestone of 1 lakh coronavirus deaths. Confirmed US deaths on Thursday stood at 1,47,000, with 17 lakh infections according to the tally compiled by Johns Hopkins University. US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi paused during a news conference to note the staggering toll of the villainous virus, even as states cautiously reopen their shuttered, devastated economies.